I pulled the motor back out of this just to clean up a few things, and I thought I would record how I married the CT70 factory wiring harness together with the pit bike harness that came with the 140 motor, which is sitting in my workbench because I painted the case. But I bought these plugs off of Amazon, not Amazon, I'm sorry, eBay. I found a seller on there that had them. They just came like this with all the connectors. So when I first did this, just to experiment with it, I plugged everything. I just crimped these on the wires and plugged them into the factory harness, which worked. I rode it around for a while like that, and they held pretty tight. I think I had one pop out once when I first put it together. But anyway, this I had to buy this voltage regulator. I bought it from T-Bolt, and it came with a little pigtail with it. I don't remember how much it was. It wasn't too horribly expensive. But on my bike, the two yellow wires coming out of the motor, I grounded one to the frame, and then the other one ran up to my factory harness for power. So that's where this goes. This goes to the motor, to the yellow wire on the motor, and then the other yellow wire off the motor gets grounded, which I grounded to that motor mount bolt. So this yellow wire is basically splitting into two and going to the yellow wire and the white wire on this plug for the voltage regulator. And then the red wire and the green wire is 12 volts going up to the battery and ground. So it doesn't really matter where you hook those into the harness as long as you hook them to ground. So I took mine and obviously crimped another end on it. Just ran the battery positive cable and that one into the same connector. So this would be where your factory CT70 harness went to your battery. So that red and white and that blue are your battery positive and negative on the factory CT70 harness. This is just a little jumper wire that's there from the factory, so I just put it back in this plug like it was. So this gray wire, I know these are overkill. That's way too big of a wire, but that's ground that's going to the chassis. I probably overdid these grounds, but I didn't want to end up with any issues. So all these terminate at the seat latch, and then I have several of them that are going down to where I mount my coil. Hopefully you can see that. There's a stud down there that I put in. So I just hook several of these grounds onto that. I mount my coil here. I think I have my voltage regulator mounted on this one as well. Like I said, I know that's probably overkill, but I didn't want any ground issues. So pit bike harness. The other half of that kill switch is right here. I just wired it into the white and black, and then green is, obviously grounds in a factory CT70 harness. So I took the plug that came with the pit bike harness and just wired it in. That way I can unplug this if I'm ever pulling the motor out doing work on the bike. I guess you could hardwire that in if you wanted to, but I chose to keep the plug that came with it. So that plugs in there. Obviously your voltage regulator, that's factory CT70 harness from there on. And then this would plug in. This would be your factory CT70 motor harness, where the original 70cc motor would plug in. So, I'm sorry, I'm trying to do this with one hand. So these two would go together. And that's pretty much it. I mean, it's really pretty easy. I mean, like I said, I went way overkill with the grounds. That's probably not really necessary. This goes to the negative side of my battery. But all my grounds terminate there. They're all hooked together. I have one I put on down here by my coil. This one I think was going to to the motor mount bolt, so that, you know, I may try to get ground down here, because this frame is powder coated, so I was just worried about everything, you know, carrying grounds through the frame. So that goes on the motor mount bolt. I ground that extra power wire on there, and everything works fine. It starts up, runs, never had any issues with it. I mean, it's kickstart only, so there's not really a lot running off the battery on this, but it's working.